Well, welcome everybody to the Summer Gardens Update. I'm Deborah, I'm the head gardener here at St Hilda's, as I'm sure many of you know from our previous films. And it's been quite a challenging season with the long periods of dry and quite a lot of heat. It's been challenging for us gardeners. But along with the challenges, it has been a lovely time, especially compared to last year, when very few people could spend lots of time in the garden. But this year, throughout Trinity term, we had people bringing their lunches outside, having tutorials on the benches, and just sitting on South Lawn, which is a joy for us to see people using the garden so much. Some things have also flowered extremely well. They've really enjoyed the heat. And some of our pots, some of our containers, which as you know we love so much, have also done really well so far. And I'll show you a few now. So here's a selection of pots that are just outside South Building, outside the windows of the SCR, on this corner here, where loads of people are passing by every day. And you can see we've used a range of plants here. There's the odd bit of bedding, like the scaevola white there, or a very small dahlia. There's a few specimen shrubs, but most of the planting is tender perennials that we took cuttings from last year, we've overwintered them in the cold frame, we've brought them on early in the season, and then now we plant them in the pots and they fill out by midsummer to give a display like this. And I have to admit, these are some of my favourite plants. We've got this salvia clotted cream, next to the white thumburgia. We've got the mimulus aurantiacus, which is the bush monkey flower, which is gorgeous, this gorgeous orange, really stunning, can be seen from afar. And then we've got the Argyranthemum Jamaican primrose, full of flower, and that was a gift to us from a dear friend of the college. We've got the calceolaria, that dark red calceolaria, Kentish hero. And between all these and some foliage plants like the helichrysum and the muhlenbeckia, they gave the display of variety of foliage and impact of flower colour. So this is another type of seasonal planting. This is our bedding that we've got in the shape of an estoile, which many of you will have seen before. The estoile is the name for a wavy-edged star in heraldry, and we have 3 of those in our St Hilda's crest. So here we have made a horticultural estoile. We change this estoile, the planting, twice a year. And this year, this summer, we've got marigolds around the edge of each of these beds, and we've got cineraria silver dust in the centre. Both plants chosen very carefully to be very uniform and ideally quite compact, although I'm a bit worried the cineraria might get away at some point, so we'll have to keep that cut so we keep it nice and compact and low. We're very pleased by how it's turned out this year. People are looking at it from the SCR, from the academic office, from garden building, which is exactly how we wanted it. You will be able to see that we have been using a sprinkler on these beds, as you can see by the grass around it. We are now in a hosepipe ban, so all our hose reels have been put away in the compound and we won't be using them at all. We will simply be using watering cans and a water cart. So we might not be able to keep this going, but it's possible that the plants have already established, they've got their roots down, they are both plants that can cope with quite a lot of dry, so possibly we'll be able to keep it going through most of the season. So I brought you here because this is one of my top 3 plants in the garden at the moment. This is Sphaeralsia childerley, and it's, as you can see, a very soft peachy orange, quite a difficult colour in the garden. But we've planted it here in a very narrow strip of a bed around South Building, and behind me is the Julia Mann room. I'm trying to talk quietly because I know there is a class in there at the moment. These new pathways were redone last year, so we've got resin-bound pathways all the way around South Building. We asked for a very narrow border to be left all the way around the edge of the building. And we've planted it up with all sorts of specimens of plants that are probably we think are borderline hardy. But it's very sheltered here, baked with sunlight, and we think the protection of the building will allow them to come through the winter. We'll see. But it has allowed us to plant all sorts of treasures, which I can show you, this being one of them. So previously, you saw the work in progress for this section of the rock garden. We managed over a period of approximately 4 weeks to complete 15 metres, this 15-metre stretch of the rock garden, all the way from a set of steps down to the lime tree. We moved the rocks, as you know, we backfilled with the substrate, and then we did the planting. It was a super exciting moment. We've put in all sorts of things, individual plants planted in ones. We've used, wherever possible, the nooks and crannies and overhangs so that the plants can have the conditions that they want. If they need a bit of shade, if they need protection from the winter wet, or if they need shelter from winds, theoretically, we should be able to provide that with this arrangement of rocks. I'm not sure we'll always get it right first time, but that is our aim. I'm very pleased with how things have settled in. It's been challenging for them, especially the latest tranche that we planted, and especially for those that are underneath the lime tree where we've been very dry. But things have established reasonably, and then if we get over the winter, if they can get their roots down and around the rocks, get a deep, cool root run, they should fare well next year if we get hot, dry periods. As you can see, in a rock garden, in an area of garden like this, you can grow an enormous range of species. And that is one of the joys. Not all of them will thrive for us, and we've chosen those that we think are reasonably robust. But the pleasure is to experiment and to extend the range of plants that we can grow in the gardens and extend the range of habitats.
Do you want to say something about it?
And this is a plant that I'm sure many of you grow in your gardens. This is Perovskia blue spire. I believe they've now changed its name to Salvia blue spire, but I'm sure we'll keep calling it Perovskia. And it flowers for a long period with these blue flowers loved by bees. And even when the flowers are over, the sepals remain on the plant. Many people think they're not sure, but they think this might be a type of lavender. It's a really good plant, keeps its form through the winter. The only disadvantage is that once we've cut it down, we stall it in about February, it's then quite slow to get going, very slow to produce its shoots. So it's good to grow some form of bulb underneath it, which carries you through that gap before its new shoots appear. And in the centre, we've planted a new tree, which is Ginkgo biloba fastigiata blagon. And it's a fastigiate, slow-growing, hopefully, ginkgo, which is non-fruiting. Any of you who know the fruits for ginkgo will know why I'm saying it's important that it's non-fruiting. And we want it to form just a smallish pyramid in the centre of this Perovskia bed. We got it from Batsford Arboretum, who do grow it, several in a line as small pyramids, and we'd like to try and grow one such here.